Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about yellow tea and discuss our Yangtze Yellow tea that we sell. Now before we begin, I highly recommend you check out our back catalog of episodes, in particular the one on what is yellow tea, which I will make sure I put up here. All right, Yangtze Yellow Tea. So we will sell yellow tea. Now if you've watched the Fundamentals of Tea playlist, which are the first 10 episodes we've done here, you'll know that yellow tea is one of the 6 categories of tea. It does come from the Camellia sinensis plant and is by far the rarest and hardest tea to find. And I would also argue that probably along with pu'er is one of those teas that is not everybody's cup of tea. So yellow tea. How can we describe how it's created? Well, its closest kin would probably be green tea. In that green tea and yellow tea, they pluck the buds early in the season, and then they're going to kill green it, meaning that there's going to be no enzymatic oxidation. So the leaves will not break down. And we know, if you've watched these episodes, especially chronologically, we know like with the oolongs, it's middle oxidized, anywhere from 15 to 40% broken down, whereas then black tea, it's fully oxidized and so forth. Whereas the green and the yellow are 0% oxidized. They kill green it, so there's no enzymatic reaction after that. Okay. Then what they're going to do, and typically they do yellow tea at a cooler temperature that they would kill green, a green temperature for a green tea, I should say. Then what they're going to do is many times they will leave it out in the sun, they'll wither a little. But the big difference between green and yellow, and really the big difference between yellow tea and any other tea, is they're going to heap it. And so what do? After they've killed green the leaves, they're going to wrap it up and put it in a pot and put a wet cloth over it and leave it there for a long time. And this is one of the reasons why yellow tea is hard to find, because it's expensive to make and only certain tea masters bother making it anymore. But it just takes a lot of time. We talked about in the video I did over in Rome why you don't see a lot of oolongs on the markets, because same thing, oolongs take a lot of time with all the rolling that they do and whatnot, but yellow tea is even more rare. So what happens when they do this heaping, what they call the heaping, is it's going to cause a non-enzymatic effect. So the PPO enzyme, the enzyme that's responsible for oxidizing and creating the different tastes and flavors, that's not going to be affected. It's already kill greened at 0%. But by putting it and steeping it, or I should say rolling it and putting it in this wrapping, it causes, I would not use the proper word would not be like a fermentation, because when we think of fermentation, we think of pu'er, which is microbial fermentation. But there is, in this heaping process, a type of enzymatic, non-enzymatic reaction that happens to it, which then changes the look of the tea and the chemical component of the tea. So what happens then is that the tea takes on a more yellow consistency. And if you look at the picture here of the yellow tea, Yangtze Yellow that we're going to sell, you can see it's kind of yellow tinged. If you look at the liquor or the liqueur, it's going to look very yellow, more yellow than its closest cousin, which would be green tea. And so what they do is they'll heap, then they'll take it out of this pot with the wet cloth wrapped, then they'll dry it out a little, and then depending on the tea master who's doing the yellow tea, they're going to rewrap it and put it in a hot pot, smother it with a towel, rinse, lather, repeat, rinse, lather, repeat, rinse, lather, repeat, depending on what the cultivar is, depending on the type of yellow tea. And they'll do this indefinitely to get to what the tea master wants it to taste like. And then eventually they are going to dry it, because all teas need to be dry. If not, there's going to be mold that could grow on it. So what's the result of yellow tea, and why should you consider yellow tea? Well, some would say that yellow tea is a higher refined Chinese green tea, in that when it's kill green, it is pan fried or wok fried, and then it has this extra thing called heaping that happens to it. I would say that yellow tea is a separate category because of the non-enzymatic effect that happens to it. It's a separate taste, it's a separate look. So if you like green tea, especially Chinese green tea, which is more, I would say, earthy, roast, chestnutty than the Japanese, if you like that, but you don't necessarily like some of the bitterness or astringency that comes with green tea, then the Yangtze Yellow that we have is good for you, because yellow tea tastes similar to green tea, but it's more mellow. It's mellow because that smothering effect has caused it to have a smoother taste. And that's what yellow taste is. That's what yellow tea is. So I would tell you, like, if you're pretty confident with the green teas, you've gotten like gunpowder or even something higher level dragon well, try the yellow tea and see if it's to your liking. Not everybody likes it. I think that and pu'er are the two of the 6 categories of tea that people might not like. And to be honest, even most tea aficionados haven't drank yellow tea because it is hard to find. China makes 50% of the Camellia sinensis tea market. And even in China, where they make every category of tea, they barely make yellow tea. And I think some of this is because of the time and effort it takes to do all the smothering and whatnot. And I think also that there just isn't as big of a market in the world for yellow tea, and therefore you don't see as many cultivars doing production of yellow tea. That being said, I love yellow tea. We are going to sell it. Given that it is such a refined product and is hard to find, we're only going to sell it in 1 ounce servings, and also the price point's going to be a little higher because it is much harder to get a good quality yellow tea. But I would definitely recommend that you try it out if you like the greens, because it is a smoother green. It has a unique smell to it that you won't find in any of the other teas. And when you do get it, you're going to steep, I would say about 190 is a good temperature. So it's going to be a little hotter than the greens and the whites. I'd say about 190. And of course you could re-steep once or twice depending on your liking. So that is our Yangtze Yellow. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and God bless.